We leverage our relationships. We leverage our own skill sets. We leverage the relationships that we have in our organization and also that we built outside with all of you. And one of the things that I really learned about last year is that we all need that. We all need to listen. We all need to learn, and we all need to leverage our relationships. This organization is just one of the many ones, but I think we do a really good job in Putnam County. And the reason is because of our leadership. It's because of the people that have been doing this for a while. And before we get going, before I introduce Jen and Bill, and we talk to Senator Harkin instead for now, is I just wanted to recognize some of the organizations that support us and get us to where we can be viable. Okay, so the biggest two, first of all, are Tompkins Bank. They have supported us for years and years and years. They've always been there, right beside us, lockstep with us, with every goal that we've had. They've been there to help us fund it, and also to volunteer and be at events. And even John Kraus being on our board of directors, it's no doubt that they're a huge partner of ours. And then there's Titan Concrete. Titan came on with us this year, and I really appreciated their vision, and they're asking us to be part of their vision because they need help with advocacy. They need help with relationships. They need help with introducing them to the right people at the right times, learning more who the players are in the community, et cetera. I just thought it was a really great partnership. And so I'm glad to have them along with us too. And then there's a whole bunch of other ones. I thought I'd read them off. We have our media sponsors are Putnam County Courier, also Halston Media and Mahopac News, and the Examiner. So thanks to them very much for all their media help. Then there's the C-Suite. C-Suite sponsors are my friend John Schneider from Schneider Financial, also an excellent poker player. Ed Santalone. We also have Marge Sayuchi, who's on our board from Lawley Insurance. Thank you, Marge, for your contributions here and for your partnership. And of course, Jennifer Marr, who's the managing partner of J. Phillip Realty and also our media past and founding chairwoman. Last but not least, are three director levels. We have Nick D'Andrea from Park Ford. I don't know if I see Nick here, but Nick, thank you for your contributions. Christopher Meyer Esquire. Chris, thank you so much for yours. And also the Hudson Valley Federal Credit Union, where I think all of us at one point have had a car loan. So thank you so much for listening to me with our partners. And Jen and Bill, why don't I kick it over to you?
Well, great. So we're going to have a little bit of a change in our agenda. We're going to open it up to you, Senator Harkin. We'd love to hear. I know so many changes actually came out yesterday, and I agree with you on the budget. Had some good stuff in it for small business. So let's hear from you.
Good morning, Jen. Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. It's always great to be with you and to see you. And I originally just was going to hop on to listen, but I figured take 2 minutes just to go over some of the things in the state budget that will help small business. We got $1 billion into the budget for small business, and 800 million of that is grant money. Part of a good chunk of that was based on my legislation from last year to create $100 million grant program. And then the need just grew and grew and grew, not just in our district, but all over the state. And colleagues were very supportive. So the grant program is $800 million. It was my belief that you shouldn't have to borrow money if the state asks you to be closed to keep other people safe. And then there were also the other economic impacts for those who were open, but certainly suffering. So it's available for small businesses, micro businesses, and for-profit art institutions. And it's very, very flexible. It can be used for any COVID-related operational costs, insurance costs, utility costs, mortgage or commercial rent, which is very big, payment of school taxes or other property taxes, costs of PPE that you might have incurred, if you had HVAC costs related to COVID, or other documented COVID costs. So for that past year, this is a very, very flexible program. The other thing is there'll be 10 million in technical assistance grants to organizations who can help get the information out to other organizations. So right now, ESD is going through an RFP to hire a company to create the portal for this. We are hoping, and the plan is to get this done as rapidly as possible. We don't want this money sitting around. We want to get it out the door to you and your members as quickly as we can. There are also some other things. There's $100 million for the Broadway industry down in the city. That's such a big part of New York City's economy and has been shuttered for over a year. So the 100 million there. And then there's some additional restaurant assistance. There's about 35 million in resiliency funding for restaurants that were in those yellow and orange zones. And then there's another 25 million in restaurant back to work tax credits to hire folks back. So all told, there's $1 billion in assistance. 800 million of that is grant funding. And we will do our best to get it out the door as quickly as we can.
Excellent. Anybody have any questions or comments for Senator Harkam?
And as soon as we know when the portal is up, we'll report that to you. And also when the RFP for the technical assistance grants go out, because chambers of commerce could be eligible for technical assistance grants.
Oh, that would be great. Awesome. And there may be some questions when I think some people thought this started at 8, so I have a feeling a whole bunch of people are going to start logging on a little bit after. And also when we get this out onto Facebook and through our replay, so we'll include your contact information. And
Perfect. Happy to help.
so happy for you to be here. All right, so Bill, can you tell us a little bit about the history and what we're doing with our legislative priorities?
Sure. Good morning, and thank you all for joining us to help choose and prioritize the issues that affect us as the business community of Putnam County. Over a decade ago, we started as a group of local chambers of commerce coming together to bring a stronger message about the businesses of our 6 towns. We have grown and organized into a regionally recognized council advocating for our concerns and your concerns and the interests to government officials and others, and helping to show why Putnam County is a great place to live, work, and play. For several years, we have been able to prepare a reasoned list of specific actions that elected officials and administrators at each of the levels of government can bring about. Rather than a long shopping list of items, we attempt to choose actions that immediately affect us, will make a significant difference, and will have a long-term benefit and/or a chance of being enacted. Some of our suggested items are brought up each year, year after year, with the hope that our reasoning will prevail. Some of the items arise from the advent of new technology, others because of changes in our economic and social environment. There are so many different businesses and ways that are affected that we could not possibly and reasonably account for everything that should be included in our list of priorities. And that's why we're here today this morning. I hope you've had a chance to take a look at our very rough draft, and we'll go over that again, to be included in this year's priorities. And we're asking you to give us your thoughts as to what else could be included or, if need be, should not be included. Thank you again for your interest in participation. I'm not adept at controlling this kind of remote operation, so I'm going to turn it back to Jen.
Okay, I'm actually going to try to get the link. Actually, Mike, if you could get the link into the chat box to everyone, that would be awesome.
Just give me 1 second, okay?
Yep. For those of you who just joined us, there was a little time discrepancy. We have a bunch of people probably think it's 8 a.m., but that's okay. We're going to move forward, and we mostly rely on replay, and we also couldn't get on Facebook Live. So it's one of those days, but I'm at the beach, so I'm going to be just fine. Okay, so we break up our legislative priorities into, Mike, you're going to let people in, or? Okay.
Got it, Jen. Yep, I got the bag for you, Jen. You just do what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so we break up our legislative priorities into local, which is mainly county, although we do get involved with towns, as Mr. Oliverio knows, and Jackie. So we break it up into local, state, and federal. And we, you know, just like everybody else's legislative priorities, very often it's repetitive and you're focusing on the same legislative. I mean, with the Realtor Political Action Committee, we have some things that have been on there like 15 years, if not more. So it can be a little repetitive, but obviously COVID has made some of our issues even more important, such as internet infrastructure. Very, very, very important. So infrastructure in general, obviously on the countywide has been something we've been focusing on for many years. Efficient electrical service and sufficient internet, and also obviously stormwater drains and roads and bridges and all of these things that we are in such dire need for. But the internet was a real issue for so many when their people are working from home and their kids are Zooming from home and the bandwidth is completely shot and
Inadequate.
yeah, completely inadequate. And it was a real big problem. We're looking for expanded credits for childcare, liability protection from COVID exposure. I know that this has been a real nightmare for myself. I've had to shut my office, I think 5 times in 16 months it's been, and it's not even, right? It's a little over a year. So
14 months, yeah.
you know, so every single time that happened, I can't even tell you the amount of panic as a business owner. Have I exposed people? What's going to happen? And you know, the first time it happened, my admin was pregnant, and it was a really scary thing. And you don't really know what protection there is for us as business owners. And you know, we own the law office. We haven't seen any of these cases coming in yet, but it will be interesting to see where it goes. Reform the scaffold law is something that's been on here for really, really, really long time. We're also looking to reform the state equality review, the secret process. It's really hindering, especially when you're in Putnam County and you're subject to all the watershed guidelines. This almost ties our hands, makes development almost impossible. And Sam and Jackie, I know you guys feel that restriction quite often, although I know you're both also responsible. We look and encourage for the village, the town, and the county to start working together and to get zoning out of the way, okay? Because we need to think quickly, and we were already suffering in our downtown Main Street areas. Many of them are blighted and have been blighted, and you know, including mixed use options and overlay areas in zoning programs would make a lot of sense. I don't, you know, we brought Matt Slater. What he's doing in Yorktown is tremendous. I know not everybody agrees with everything, but they are making progress. They have brought in, I think, 3 or 4 major tenants since COVID started. So they're getting the politics out of the way. They're getting the zoning out of the way. If a project comes in and it makes sense, they're voting on it right there and then, instead of taking years and years and years. And this is what it's going to take to get people interested in coming to the county, getting creative. I know that some money has come in to the town and the counties, and I'm hoping that we can partner on some support and promotion of small businesses. If the towns are willing to contribute a little bit towards that, that would be phenomenal, because I think we all agree that the small businesses have been hit the hardest, because they are made up of the grandmas and the grandpas and the babies and everybody's suffering in one way or another. And like I just said, many of us have had to quarantine and close their businesses more than once. And so we would love as much support as we can. We also support bringing a facility of higher education to Putnam County. We were so close on this, so close. We actually had Mount St. Mary looking in Brewster, and that sort of just disappeared. So that's something we would like to get back involved with. And there's so much money that we can tap into if we did have a facility of higher learning, which Senator Harkin can talk to us about as well. We're sending, we're reimbursing Westchester and Dutchess County, and we're missing out on that. And we also want to expand and promote BOCES education opportunities for workforce training. And so Mike has put the link in there. This is just a draft, and there's still some things that we need to add to this. And we also sent out a survey. Marge, do you want to discuss the survey at all? No.
I'm sorry, I'm not prepared to do that. We did go out to our membership, and we did ask some very pointed questions. And I think some of the results of what we got back were actually put into this survey, into the legislative priorities. So I think we've encompassed it all in there, but we really are trying to, this is still a grassroots operation, and we're really trying to get our business community involved, because we don't know what the issues are and what people are facing unless you tell us. So, look for things like this in the future. We hope to get these surveys, these input from our membership really down so that we can go to local governments, our county, our state, and really bring forth the issues that are affecting the small businesses in our county.
Jen, let me just point out, one of the things that kind of overlaid everything that we were putting together this year is the possible change in what the population is going to be doing in Putnam County. We used to say that every morning, 65% or so of our workforce got up and went someplace else to go to work. And with COVID, so many people have started to stay home and work remotely. It's changed who's staying in the county, and that changes and puts stress on the local services for people that now have to take care of people that are working in county. Changes just a lot of the aspects that we're used to. Again, the infrastructure for cell phone and for broadband, but also just where to go and what to do. If you want to take someone to lunch for a meeting or something like that locally, if you're living up here now, it's not like going down to Fifth Avenue or wherever else you went down there, to have lunch. It's where to go for here. So, we've got our restaurants now are getting a different clientele in cases, or possibly will. And so it really, part of it is, and you're in the real estate business, how the structures are going, but how we're going to build this new thing. If we change from 65% of the people going, somewhere else to even down to 40%, that makes a big difference in how we have to do things up here.
Agreed. And there's, from a real estate perspective, I don't know if you guys saw my article. I think Putnam County was up, I think it's 64% in the first quarter over last year. And that's just an astounding number. It's an astounding number. And there's a lot of new people, new blood, new energy, new money, new ideas. And that's why, again, from a real estate perspective, and I'm now just speaking for my industry, I think that the most important thing that can happen is for the municipalities to get very creative and to really be working close with brokers and understanding the new business models that people want out there, and also understanding that there may be a little more need for commercial allowances in a residential area now that we have so many people working from home, and maybe extending outdoor dining and being flexible forever. It doesn't seem like any major harm has come from having, all this outdoor dining. I think it's one of the silver linings. I know Tina loves providing all that propane. So, just really like making this the time to stop all the bureaucracy and work together. And I've seen a lot of that during COVID, and I would love for that to retain. So again, I think a lot of people are going to be coming on at 8, but there are some task force members here and also some elected officials. Anybody, I would like to hear really from everybody on your industry, even if it's not something that's going to be recorded in the legislative priorities, it's certainly something that we want to make sure is heard, and we want to know what's going on with you guys. So you know what? Maybe Tina, since I already picked on you, you want to?
I'm happy to jump in.
Great.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I have 2 children on my side, so I apologize if we get yelled at any point. So our newest, I guess, challenge in New York is to stop the New York carbon tax that they're trying to. It's insane. I listened to a conference call at the Propane and Gas Association yesterday, and they're stating for, all consumers, they're going to have to be switching over to electric heat or to some type of a heating pump in the near future. The costs of this, they're estimating to be like $6,000 per household. It's actually, and New York is just going to have to release this soon, it's actually going to cost a consumer somewhere near $20,000 in order to switch over to a heat pump. They're estimating in what they're releasing to the public right now about $6,000. Most new boilers and new systems aren't $6,000. Heat pumps are huge detail and a major change to any home. They also cannot keep up with our low temperatures here. So every heat pump that is installed in a home right now, we are backing up with propane for the winter seasons. When it gets down to 2 degrees, a heat pump cannot heat the water warm enough to get us the heat that we need to keep our homes warm. New England is not the environment for a heat pump as a main source of heat. And what they're trying to pass is a carbon tax. It would be on propane alone, it's going to start at 22 cents and it's going to go up somewhere near $1.17 on top of the price of propane per gallon for each customer. The tax is going to hurt so many people in the society. It's going to be insane. It's going to make people not be able to heat their homes. It's going to push a lot more people onto the HEAP program, which is the support that the county provides, because people aren't going to be able to afford to heat their homes. The people that are, just making it by or on unemployment or struggling at the time, they may be able to pay for their heat now. Coming soon, they're not going to be able to afford to. There's many homes that aren't going to be able to afford to set a heat pump in their home, or that have a new boiler. And why should they pay $20,000 now to switch over or go to electric heat, where we're going to be struggling already? Our grids aren't capable of keeping up with the electric source to power all of our homes with heat as well. So, heat and hot water is just, it's going to be something that's very difficult and we're not prepared for. And solar panels also can't keep up in our area to provide us the kind of electricity that we would need.
So is this is something being implemented by the state?
Yes, it's called the New York, they're saying stop the New York carbon tax. And it is a tax that New York is trying to inhibit. But they're saying in the near future, they're going to require everyone they're trying to get rid of propane and heating oil. So while this is just going to affect propane tax right now is what we have the detail of, it's going to be the same for oil customers as well.
So I'm just going to mute you for a second. So Senator Harckham, do you know anything about this? And is it something that the local county or towns would have to adapt, or is it something that's going to just come out?
There's proposed legislation that may or may not pass that is part of or could be part of the state's carbon reduction strategies. Right now, the councils, as part of the CLCPA, are meeting in different sectors as to how each sector can reach those targets. There's no mandate to force people to switch over. Certainly not now. That the goal is to get to a zero carbon economy by 2040. And that is the state's goal, and that is in law. How we get there is still being worked out, still being determined. Some folks think a carbon tax would be an incentive to get there and help pay for the transition over. Other states have done carbon taxes, but Tina raises some points is, whenever there's a tax, somebody's got to pay, and there's pain down the line somewhere. So those are the things that are being considered with that. But there's no imminent plan to force people to switch over to heat pumps at this point in time. But she is correct. There is a piece of legislation that's being considered. Whether it will come up for a vote in the remaining 6 weeks of session, I couldn't tell you right now. But if I hear more, I'll let you know.
Okay, great. So
Thank you.
Tina, also, if you want to send us, let's get into a little conversation about that. Also, I will find out what the Board of Realtors is, what their take is on it.
Yeah, I also just dropped a link with some information in the chat,
Perfect.
or if you're
I'll
interested
check that
in, just reaching out to New York State to say that it might be something that you're not interested in as a consumer, feel free to drop in there and just make it be heard. Because I think if we don't let anyone know that we're concerned about the carbon tax, and maybe as a consumer that we don't want to pay the carbon tax, it's going to be there, and it's going to hit a business like ours very hard. We're a 104-year-old family business. That's going to be something that's going to hit our family business very hard. And I know that Phillipstown has come up with a board to try to handle this as well, and try to encourage this bill, actually. And they've come and reached out to me and said, what can we do to help your business? I
Yeah,
really honestly don't know how they're going to be, how we're going to be able to see the same side of things on that. So I mean, even as a consumer, not coming just from Downey Energy, but as a consumer, I don't want to pay an extra $1 on propane. Costs of everything are going up anyway. So an extra $1 is really going to hurt so many people.
I understand. Definitely we want to look into it further. So we look forward to discussing with you, Tina. Thank you. All right. So who else would like to speak on behalf of your industry, or elected official if you'd like to speak up?
Morning,
please.
Jen.
Morning.
Good morning, Jim Rathschmidt. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hey, good morning.
Good to see so many familiar faces. I'm Jim Rathschmidt, co-founder of United for the Troops. We've been in business, as they say, even though we're a not-for-profit, of 14 years. And our sole purpose is to bring a little comfort to our troops by sending them gift boxes, which contain things they miss most from home. So during COVID, from March for the next 6 months, we were literally shut down. We lost $50,000 in contributions from our fundraisers that we weren't able to have. Now, we did not have to pay that money back. That was just money lost. The items and the things that we had collected were basically giving to our food pantries. We could not ask for donations from our community. People were trying to feed their families. So we just stayed where we were for a while. Not-for-profits is a different situation. And I've talked to Jen about this many times. We are a full not-for-profit where we have no pay scale. Nobody gets paid. We're all volunteers. However, I am familiar and friendly with so many not-for-profits in Putnam that have overhead. They have salaries. They have rent. And all this type of monies that have to come to them. So I know Jen has addressed not-for-profits, and she's asked me a few times to look into some of the background of not-for-profits. As I said, we're all volunteers. We don't have that overhead, but it is very important to help our not-for-profits where grants come in. And we know, as Senator would say, that grants are very, very hard to get at times. You have to basically hire somebody to look for a grant for you. And that's just the way it is. but to bring a not-for-profits to the forefront a little bit more, I wish others would speak up on it, Jen. I don't know how much you hear about not-for-profits aside from me, because you always include me in on these. So I would like to get more information out, and if you would know a not-for-profit, have them get in touch with the Putnam Community Business. It is an incredible organization that has grown by leaps and bounds. Look where it is now. By the way, I just love your background on those, by the way. So having said all that, I'll sit and listen. Thank you very much for the invitation to be here. And I'm very happy to listen to everybody. Thanks, Jen, and everybody else involved.
See me laughing?
Yes.
Do you see me laughing? Yeah, because you're screwed, because you just became the chairperson of the not-for-profit committee for the Putnam County Business Council, because it's on our slate for this year. It's very important. We've been working on industry clusters kind of, so not-for-profit is one, women and minority owned businesses, and arts and culture. So we need somebody, and you just spoke so beautifully and so eloquently, and I promise it won't be a lot of work.
Well, wait till I tell
Wait.
Patty about this. She's going to be coming to see you with a cup of coffee. Thank you.
Thank you for volunteering.
I consider it a privilege, and I'll be very happy to help where I can. Thank you very much, Jen.
Awesome. Yay.
Conversation.
Hi, Amy. Yes, please.
Good morning.
Thanks, Jim.
I'm on the same page with Jim with Community Cares. I have a not-for-profit. We are 13 years old. Our biggest fundraiser happens in May. We couldn't do it last year. We can't do it this year. We are solely community-based. All our money comes from our community. And all that money comes from fundraisers and events. So we've been shut down for 2 years. This is our second year being shut down. I had an executive director I was hoping to hire. I was hoping to grow. I had to fire my executive director because I didn't have the funding and I didn't have the money to continue. I also had 2 offices. I had to get rid of one of my offices. So not-for-profit is also a pay industry. You know, we hire, we fire, we take real estate, and this is affecting us like any other businesses. So I had Jim Sullivan with the Putnam Recreation for the Handicapped contact me and say he is losing his office. So we were able to consolidate. I mean, not-for-profits look out for one another. So he took one of my offices and saved me half my rent. But he lost his office also. So it's affecting all of us. And not-for-profits employ a lot of people. They put a lot of money back into the economy. So I'm with you, Jen. It's a tough gig out there right now. And just one more thing. What Tracy was talking about is not-for-profits are some of our biggest tourist attractions. We do have some beautiful tourist attractions in Putnam County. But I would also say that the events that we hold bring people into the county. And my little black dress party was a very popular event. And I've had people contact me over and over again. When are we going to bring that back? Because I had lots of people come. That was my one and only fundraiser. I had smaller during the year, but yeah, Tracy, you're right. A lot of them are big tourist attractions. So we've lost a lot here in Putnam County. Anyway, that's all I want to say about that. Thanks.
Amy, when we did a feasibility study for what industry clusters would do well here in the county, and one of the things we discovered is that not-for-profit is collectively the largest employer of people in Putnam County. So yeah, huge part of the local economy here. I couldn't agree anymore about everything you said. And I don't think I'd have a social life if it wasn't for not-for-profit events, because you know me, I don't really like to go out. But once you get me out, I'm a lot of fun, right, Amy?
Yes, you are. We have a lot of generous people in our county. We really do. A lot of generous people.
Yeah.
Who help other people. And you know what? Not-for-profits fill in that little gap where you know, we don't always look to the government to help us out. You know, we help each other, and that's what not-for-profits do. They fill in the little gap. We don't need the government to take over we're not-for-profits can pick up.
Great. So good news, Jim Rathschmidt, Faith Butcher, I guess is on here. I don't know, has volunteered to also be co-chair with you. And then Amy is now volunteering to be the government liaison for the not-for-profit.
You
This
know
is
what? I'll work with
fantastic.
both of those. What a great crew.
You guys see how these meetings go, right? You show up,
Yeah.
you say something smart,
Awesome.
and we're like, there you go.
All right, I'll do
Thanks a lot, Jen. But I mean that sincerely. To have other
Especially the
people-
year that Jen is no longer chairperson and wants to be actually free next year, okay? So I just
But I mean
delegate.
that really.
Yeah.
Thank you
well, we're
very
gonna-
much to be with Amy. And who else volunteered? I'm sorry.
Faith
Who
Ann
else
Butcher.
volunteered as a coach?
Faith
Beautiful.
Butcher.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, I'm very excited. All right, so who else would like to represent their industry or,
Jen, I have something.
actually, I was one. Who's that, Nick?
Yeah.
There you are. Good. Hold on, there you are. Hey.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nick D'Andrea from Park Ford of Mayapack. One of the things that the automotive industry has been fighting for such a long time in the state of New York is a documentation fee. Basically, right now in New York, it's regulated at $75 per transaction. So basically, what it does is pay for the process that we have to go through to register people's vehicles and make sure they don't have to go to DMV themselves. It makes the transaction a lot easier and processing all the paperwork for the customer. One of the big problems that we have is that in our neighboring states, Connecticut, Jersey, we're very close by. They either don't have a regulated doc fee or their doc fee is upwards of $700. So what happens often is, say, a dealership that's in Danbury, which is only a half hour away from my dealership, they can advertise a vehicle $700 lower for the same exact car that I have. And then once the customer gets there, they hit them with a doc fee of $700 to make up for that profit. We've asked New York State to change our doc fee, and not only just not to make it $600 or $700 because we don't seem that to be fair, but all we ask for is that the doc fee be $150. Basically, what that does is cover our costs, because right now we actually lose $75 per transaction on every vehicle we sell. So you take that $75 times 1,000 vehicles a year, it adds up quite a bit. Senator Harkin, I'm not sure if you're aware of the situation, but it's something we've been fighting for a long time. And the governor has promised that the doc fee would get raised to $150 probably about 2 years ago. It still hasn't happened. So we're really hoping to try to get that done. The problem is that we're losing a lot of business to neighboring states that we really should have within our state and especially in our county. So it's a very simple thing. We're asking for $75, not $700. We should really like to try to get that passed if we can.
Makes a lot of sense. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Nick, I'm going to put my phone number in the chat. And let's have a little more detailed conversation about this, just so you can educate me on this, and we'll get to work on it.
Great. Appreciate it.
I would imagine, Nick, I was actually thinking about the auto industry recently, and I would imagine a lot of your profit has already been removed. And I've been amazed at how your industry has pivoted pre-COVID. You were one of the first industries, then the taxi industry with Uber, and, that the internet has really impacted. And so I would imagine that profit margin has shrunk tremendously in the past 10 years. I'm just guessing. So I would imagine that $75 per transaction is a big deal. So
yeah, for sure. And I'm sure, there's a ton of industries that are currently being affected by microchip shortages right now, which is a huge thing in my industry. Whereas my inventory levels are, they should be about 300 cars on my lot. I probably have 110 right now. So I don't actually have inventory to sell. I don't know how much we could do on the state level in that regard, but certainly COVID has impacted us quite a bit, and margins profit margin has dropped quite a bit because of that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, you're going to help us write this. This is important, and we definitely want to make sure that your industry is represented.
Thank you.
Okay, awesome. All right, who is Stacy? Do you want to speak? I know you had somewhere to go.
Okay, so a couple things. Thanks for being here. I'm Stacy Tompkins. I actually am running for Putnam Valley Town Board. So I just wanted to put that out there. Jen, I just wanted to say that you were correct, 62.4%. So I had that in front of me. So I wanted to say that. I wanted to say that I missed the little black dress event, Amy, much so that, you know, that's one of my favorite events to go to. I would like to mention to Senator Harckham, I've spoken to you before about the certifications for MWBEs in New York State. I have been trying since 2013. It is now 8 years later, and I've had no, my last was a denial over 2.5 years ago. I put in for an appeal, and I was supposed to get an appeal date, and COVID hit, and basically I've heard nothing from the state or anything. I've hired an attorney. We cannot get any information. So now I'm at the point I can reapply again. But this has become an ongoing battle issue for legitimate companies that need to get certified because the governor is putting out all of these quotas that need to be filled, 30%. You can't find them. You cannot find the contractors to fulfill what the state is asking for. But then on the other hand, you're not able to get certified. So I have been to every government person that I know, and nobody can help and nobody answers calls or anything. And as far as I'm concerned, the COVID excuse is over, right? We got to figure a way. There's got to be a way because one hand is not talking to the other. And there needs to be, not just for me, but for this whole MWE process that the New York has put out, but yet very, very difficult to get certified, if at all. So that is my personal issue that I am having here. And also same thing that people are saying as far as, I love what Yorktown is doing is just getting projects passed. Just you know, I'm in a contractor, excavation, and just to see things get streamlined and move ahead is really what needs to happen to get us all going again.
Yeah. I think you just recently had a great experience in Southeast, right? Wasn't that?
Yeah, working right now. We're still
Knock on
there.
wood.
Right, we're still there. Restaurant Depot, right there on in Southeast. We're still working there. So things are moving. I mean, yeah, there are projects happening. I mean, there are, but it's just the process to be streamlined, and it doesn't even affect me personally daily. I'm really a subcontractor a lot of times working for the owners or a general contractor, but it's the process is just arduous at every level.
Yeah, I know. Well, Marta, if you're still on here, this is something we should definitely talk to Stacy about and see what we can do to help kind of just shake the trees. I know Marsha Gordon's probably helping.
Oh,
you.
yeah.
That's great. But we certainly want to expand our women and minority owned membership base as well as support that group. So it's important to us. And Senator Harckham, is there anything that you think you can do to help Stacy with?
Yeah, we in fact had met with Stacy. We reached out to the agencies, and then as she said, COVID hit, things went dark. We will reach out again. Stacy will re-engage with you.
Okay.
I'll have Jen call you. We'll get together again and we'll re-engage with the state because it you know, this shouldn't drag on for years and years and years.
Well, now I'm at the point where I have to reapply. So am I starting over for the third time? I mean, it's
yeah, no, it's unacceptable.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's
Thank
not
you.
like, you know, yeah, crazy. Okay, well, thank you.
Thank
Stacy,
you.
always, and good luck in your race. You're crazy.
Jen, in the entire streamlining of getting the processes going, in my other job is with the IDA, we're seeing more and more projects that are starting to look at us now to come in, and not all of them are necessarily IDA qualified, but the mere fact that they're starting to look at us. And obviously one of the things that concerns everyone that comes into Putnam County and in so many other places, but is the process of getting all your different permits and stuff like that in place. And so one of the things that we mentioned in our thing is to have the towns work on their planning and zoning boards and stuff like that and make them, I guess, more sensitive, more convenient to what the the project person has to go through to get his permits. Instead of having to go month to month, maybe have some way to, put in the meetings so that you can get things covered on a more timely basis. And obviously, there's a lot of gymnastics that are involved there, but I think that's one of the things that we're asking the local towns and villages to look into and see if they can come up with a better plan.
Agreed. And the other thing I didn't mention also, we need to get some language in here for landlords, commercial and residential. So that's something we can probably just work with the Hudson Gateway Association of Realtors on. And I personally think that we should be going out to the public for opinion on marijuana legalization and whether or not they want it here in the community. I don't think it's right for these decisions to be made at such a high level. I think they should figure out, the statistics on medical marijuana is it's over 60% or over 60. So by not even allowing medical marijuana here, you have a lot of people that have a need who are going to have to go outside of the area to get it, and we're not going to benefit from any of the income, and it's going to happen anyway. So just that's not an official Putnam County Business Council, I know, because it's a renegade thought in our conservative Putnam County, but this is the reality we're in now. So anybody else would like to speak up for your industry? We'd love to hear. Marge, Jackie, yep.
Good morning, everyone. So nice to see everybody. I haven't seen you all in so long. First, one of the things you just mentioned, the infrastructure, the internet infrastructure, I think is very important. I've been getting a lot of phone calls about how we're going to help our town with the internet infrastructure.
Okay, slow down, because not everybody knows. So who's we? Are you talking on Senator Serino's office?
Oh, I'm so sorry. No. We, as in the town of Putnam Valley.
Okay.
Sorry, the town of Putnam Valley. I mean, the internet infrastructure here in Putnam Valley, we're stuck, or I think many towns are stuck with one cable source. We are stuck with Optimum. And we can't seem to get another company that is willing to expand their footprint into our town, and it's hurting our community. That's what I really would like to look into more. Someone did bring up municipal broadband, and I want to look into that. So if anyone knows anything about that, I'd like to pick your brain. Jen, you mentioned getting zoning out of the way so we can move forward. That's kind of tough when we live in a town that's surrounded by the watershed. We would love to see things move forward here in Putnam Valley, but zoning is a big thing here. We get stopped not by our town, but by the state DEC. Look at Lake Oneida. It used to be gorgeous. DEC steps in and says, sorry, you have to put these 20-foot weeds there to protect the lake. The state has to put their feet in so many different things to get their dollar. And it does hurt small communities like Putnam Valley. Mm-hmm. As for COVID, you would have thought that it would have increased our the people coming through to shop. Unfortunately, with a lot of the businesses did have to go online, and then that did hurt. And then we lost one of our greatest businesses, which was Niecy's Farm, which was, I guess, a win-loss, win-win, whatever you want to look at it. They took that time off to really appreciate retirement and being together. So it's a win for them, a loss for us. But COVID did affect a lot of small mom and pop shops. And, the internet doesn't work for everyone. But hopefully, we can see what happens with that, with small mom and pop businesses like we have here in Putnam Valley. We don't have a lot of shops like Carmel or Phillipstown. And we have a guy right across from Town Hall who's been an antique shop for decades, Ray Wilson. We have people that work out of their homes doing grooming or mechanics. That's what we have here in Putnam Valley, and it's great. But it's not something that is Phillipstown or Carmel or even Kent for that matter, where we can make a buck for our town for that. So, our town's a little bit different than the rest of the towns. But you talked about the medical marijuana. Now, we, Town of Putnam Valley, passed a law that we cannot, 2 years ago, right, Sam?
I remember.
2 years ago, we passed a law that medicinal marijuana, is different than the recreational. We passed a law that there'll be no sale of recreational marijuana in our town. We understand it will hurt, we were supposed to get like a 3% back, but we realized that the health and safety of our community, you can't put a dollar amount on. So we will not be, we might tighten that up a little bit, but we are definitely not going to allow the sale of recreational marijuana in the town of Putnam Valley.
And have you gone out to your stakeholders? Or you guys just made that decision?
We made
We
that
had a public
decision.
hearing. We had a
Yeah.
public hearing.
Yeah, of course, we had a public hearing. People agreed. We had maybe one person who felt.
That's all, what my only opinion is, that it should go out to the public.
Yeah,
And
no,
the public should have, and this is a
We had
personal
1
thing.
year of a moratorium, so it was open to the public for discussion for 1 full year, Jen. Then when
Yeah.
we passed the law, we had the public hearing twice. And there was no disagreement with our town.
Good, good,
again, we allow medicinal, but not recreational. That's,
Yep.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Jackie. I forgot. There was something I was going to say, but that's okay. If I think of it, I'll bring you back. All right.
Jenna,
So anyone
Jenna,
else would like, I'd like to
Faith,
get some,
Jen, I just want to let you know that Faith just signed in. Just want to give you the heads up.
I think she's been here. She's like in and out. Hi, Faith.
No, I
Um,
was driving, so I was listening on the phone and now I'm in my office.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. Anybody want to speak on your industry? Please just unmute yourself.
This is Amy. I just wanted to mention one thing about the legalization of marijuana. As you know, it's up to the towns now. It's not up to the counties. But I do want to mention that you can opt out. You have to make a decision by the end of the year, and you can opt out. Once you opt in, you can't opt out. So, in my estimation, I'm assuming, and Senator Harkin, correct me if I'm wrong. You can opt out, but next year you can opt back in. If you want to talk about it some more, I think, and then you can opt in maybe next year. I think that's how it would go.
Yeah, that's right, Amy. So we put in the opt-out so municipalities can opt out, but you can always opt back in later.
That's good to know.
But once you opt in, once you accept it, you can't opt out again. I mean, it makes sense to me because if you have businesses who are starting, you can't just say, whoops, you can't do it now. So
Right.
you can opt out and not opt in. Okay, that's all I want to say.
Oh.
And while I'm speaking, I just want to let you know that at our audit committee meeting we had this past week, Putnam County more than doubled the mortgage tax income from the same time period of last year. More than double. We're over 3 million. Where last year I think it was 1.5. And our sales tax is doing well, and I think most of that is because Putnam County is mostly an online shopping area. So thanks to online tax coming down locally instead of somewhere else, we're able to hold on to our sales tax in Putnam County.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, thank you. Okay, please unmute yourself if you'd like to speak on behalf of your industry. Carl, I see you're on there. I'm not sure if you're looking to speak. Tracy, anybody, just unmute yourself. Otherwise, we're going to start wrapping up because I'm at the beach. So please unmute yourself if you'd like to add anything to the conversation. Thank you, Senator Harkin, so much. We will be in touch.
Jen, I'll put in my 2 cents. So I represent 2 industries. I represent the health insurance industry, which you were just saying, Carl, and I don't think we have enough time in the day to discuss healthcare issues and where all the healthcare laws are going and what changes on a daily basis. So I'm going to delay that, but I'm also we own a small delicatessen. And I will say that even though it appears, the deli, thank God, has been busy throughout COVID, we lost a ton with communions, confirmations, graduations, weddings. Like there's ways that local businesses are impacted. that you don't think of. Like everyone looks at who walks in the deli and yeah, knock on wood, that's been great. But we've lost, 50% of our business used to be catering. And we've lost that whole side of it because no one is getting together. No one is gathering. You try and pivot, but, a lot of businesses were really hurt and I can't wait to see this world open back up again.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. Even the corporate office catering gone,
Yeah.
I used to get lunch, once a week from my office, and I'm sure that, like Nick was saying, $75 per transaction. So like maybe my office order is only $100 a week, but yeah, it's up. It's crazy.
The good news,
Hi.
Jen, the good news is, and you said this in the beginning with small businesses and restaurants, innovating and doing things outside and changing things up. People are buying different. People are, serving differently. So
Yep.
you're right. We lost a lot, but a lot of people gained a lot by being innovative. We just need to support them to keep going.
Yeah, exactly. Agreed. Hi, Savona.
Hi.
Did I say it right?
Savannah, yes.
Yes. Hi.
Hi, very nice to meet you all. So I actually am from Texas. I just moved here about a year ago. I live with my sister in, I guess, Kent, which I guess is Carmel. I'm getting used to still all the villages and hamlets and all of that. But as a new business that's coming to Putnam County, is there a streamlined way to, the restoration business for fire, smoke, water, mold? Is there a way to, an easy way to be a part of the communities out there with our services and the different nonprofits and just becoming a member of the community?
So you're asking what's the best way for you to get entrenched in the community, basically?
Yes.
And
yes.
what is your business?
Restoration. So if someone had like, whether it's commercial, residential damage from fire, smoke, water, or mold,
Right. Okay.
then
Yeah, so we have a quarterly networking event that would be something that you would definitely want to participate in. We're going to have an in-person event in November as well, which is our annual awards, and that's a great place to meet people throughout the entire county. You will definitely want to reach out to me because I own a commercial and a residential real estate company, and I can help introduce you to the people in that world. And we can talk to you about membership and how we can help you get the exposure that you're looking for and connect you to the right people. So that happens quickly for you. I understand. When I moved up here, I didn't know anybody. And
Yeah.
honestly, through this organization and other organizations like it, I now know more people than people who have lived here for generations. So it was an effective way to grow your business. So
yeah, and I'm from Houston, so big city, and then coming here is really great because it really is a nice close-knit community, and it's an interesting dynamics between big city. Still, I don't feel that Houston is that big, it still feels close-knit down there, but here it's almost like a small town feel, but it's not.
Yep. Yes. And his pluses and
Thank you
minuses
all.
to that. But welcome. We're totally excited to have you here. And I'm actually away until Monday, but maybe we can grab lunch or something next week. I'll get your information from the registration. And if anybody else has something they'd like to add, otherwise, I think,
I do, Jen. Savannah,
Yeah.
if you go to the town of Kent and they do actually Bill's here. Bill, are you guys doing your event in Ryan's Field anytime this year that she can come and have a table, introduce herself, put some information out?
Hopefully there will be something because that's usually later in the in the
I don't
early
want
fall.
to cut you guys off, but we're going to reach out. We'll reach out and we'll get her all of
Yeah,
those.
thank you.
All of those
Perfect.
opportunities, because we really got to wrap this up.
Thank you
Great,
all.
thanks, Jen.
Over an hour.
Okay,
All right. So
perfect.
If you did not get to represent your industry, please email info at putnamcountybusinesscouncil.com, info at putnamcountybusinesscouncil.com. And if you're watching this as a replay, also email us and we will be wrapping up our legislative priorities within probably the next week. So definitely do so as soon as possible. Mike, you have anything else? Bill?
No, thank
Oh,
you all
perfect.
for your participation.
And as always, thank you to Mayapack Tompkins Bank and also Titan Concrete for being our premier sponsor. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye, everybody.